Hey, it's Aaron, and today I'm with a 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe. So this is the 5th generation of the Grand Cherokee. It just came out this year. It's basically Jeep's large and luxurious but not over large SUV. You can see by the blue, this is Jeep's signal that they are electric. So this is not fully electric, this is a plug-in hybrid. Similar to the Wrangler 4xe that I did about a year ago. So I'll try to reference that one in the description. Basically what we're looking at is, according to the numbers from the EPA, we have 25 miles of electric range, and then everything after that, or sometimes during that depending, is when we have the little gas engine running. The gas engine is a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder. I think it's 2.5 liter, but okay. And we've seen that engine in several other Jeeps, so it's no surprise to see it here. But brand new this year, so everything about this is new. There are a couple of things that I am a little disappointed in, and a lot of things that I really like. So let's get looking at it. I think that from a styles perspective, we should start up here in front. Usual Jeep grille, expect to see the slots, there they are. The toe pins, of course, are blue. You'll see those little blue highlights all over the place on this because it is, of course, a plug-in. So there's a really, I don't know if you can see it from there, and with the sun coming down, it's like right there in my face. But there are blue highlights on the Jeep here, and you can see hints of blue on other parts of the bodywork as we walk around it. So from the side here, it is pretty classic Jeep design. You can see the straight line that goes through the bodywork from front to back. That has kind of been a Cherokee, Grand Cherokee, etc. Kind of hallmark for quite a while, and we see it here. For perspective, this is bigger than the Cherokee, so this is a much larger vehicle. I'm going to look tall because it's down on the roadway and I'm up here on the side bank, but yeah, this is a big SUV. It is not a 3-row. You go to the next level from this to get that, and that is the Grand Wagoneer. So the Grand Wagoneer's 3-row, Grand Cherokee is not. So the body line I was talking about right here, that just runs all the way through, and then you can see the trail-rated 4x4 is in blue. This is actually the charge port right in there, and there is the E symbol. So with the, of course, in blue. The charging on this, I have a 240 50 amp in my garage that is dedicated, a dedicated circuit for charging vehicles. Charging this, I have 2 different chargers that I can try on it. Charging this using the Jeep supplied one will only pull about 20 amps. So somewhere in the 20 amp range. If I plug my own cords into it, 32 amps is about where it peaks. It will not take more than that or faster. And that was the same thing I ran into. Actually, no, it is different than what I ran into with the Wrangler 4xe, which would take the full 40 amps that that plug could give it. So I think that maybe what has happened is Jeep has over time figured out maybe they need to balance some things. Even then though, plugging in at 32 amps, you can still charge this battery to full in less than 4 hours. So not a big deal. It's a small battery. It's supposed to have 25 miles of range. Being as I'm talking about it, I might as well explain. You probably won't get 25 miles of range. You could get close, but the most that I've pulled is 21. And so yeah, there's a lot of grain of salt on those range estimates with especially plug-in hybrids, but also with regular electrics. It depends a whole lot on what you're doing. If all I did was drive around town, then my electric range would probably get closer to 25. But once you get over, you know, once you get on streets where you're at 40 miles an hour or more, you start watching that range drop. Once you get on the freeway, the range is gone. It won't last you long at all. The engine will actually just kick on, because I don't think the electrics can actually do freeway speeds in this particular one. But, so yeah, expect about 20 miles of electric range. That's kind of what I would go with. So you can see the Grand Cherokee badge with the blue highlights, and then of course the little American flag next to it, which is a new Jeep thing that they're doing on these vehicles. So overall styling, pretty SUV, very clearly a Jeep. All the Jeep SUVs have had this look for quite a while in overall impression. There are nuances, of course, and so this new generation is a lot different than the previous. And then looking through back there, you can see the filler port, and you can see kind of the simplicity of design that is what a Jeep SUV is all about. This does have a 4x4, so it is a full-on 4x4. These are Goodyear Wrangler tires, and they're pretty good general tires for on-road, off-road, bad weather, etc. You don't control the off-road directly in this, so you don't like turn, go, I want 4 high or whatever. Instead, what you do is you select a drive mode. So you tell it that you're on dirt and rocks, you tell it that you're on sand, you tell it that, so actually the way it goes is there's rock, there's sand and dirt, right? And then there's snow, I think is the next one. And then there is auto, so choose it for me. Most of the time, you're just gonna drive around in auto. Most of that time when you're driving around in auto, it will be rear wheel biased, and it will drive as you would expect a big SUV with a rear bias to be driving. When you need it, sometimes if you hit a corner and you're going a little too fast, or if you accelerate from a stop, those sorts of things, the all-wheel drive will kick in and you'll feel it. You'll know that it's kicked in, which is cool. Because those are the times when it's most useful. So anyway, let's go look at the working end, and then we'll talk about the interior. So hopefully you can see this. I know the sun is like right there. I'm trying to block it with my big head. So what we're looking at here is just the cargo space. It's pretty good size. There is a spare tire and some other stuff under here, and also your plug is in a bag that's over in the corner over there where my camera bag is. This is a good sized cargo area, lots of space in this. This particular one, this is the Overland model, if I didn't mention that before. This particular one has the Macintosh stereo system, so it has a big subwoofer back here. It has nice speakers up in here. Also, you have tie downs back here, so you can probably just see, there's one right there. There's D-hooks on all 4 corners back here. Couple of grocery hooks. There is a cargo cover that is not in this one, but there is a cargo cover option. And yeah, it's a pretty good cargo space. It's nicely done back here. It's easy to access and use, and very tall. You can see how tall the hatch is to me. I'm a 6'3", so this is way above my head. There's nice thoughtful little puddle lights right here to light up what you're doing back here. Just a nice setup. It's thoughtful. So here we are in the back seat. I have a little bit of headroom, about an inch above my head. This has a panoramic sunroof in it, so that pulls the ceiling down a lot. Knee room, you can see I'm pretty tight. I'm 6'3", I said that before, and this is fairly tight. This is corset for me to be driving up front. It's also back slightly, about an inch, because of it moves to let you out. But this is one of the most disappointing parts of this vehicle, is that for such a large SUV, I would expect more rear seat room. It is kind of nice. This is tri-zone climate in the Overland model, has heated rear outboard seating. It's a decent amount of space going across, so you could get 3 across in here and be okay, as long as they're not huge. I have pretty big shoulders, so I would feel bad for anybody sitting next to me doing that. But for most, normal sized people that aren't troglodytes or whatever, you'll be fine. And just nice little thoughtful amenities back here. Vent right here, tons of plugs. There's like 4 USB plugs down there. There's a household outlet down here. There's a vent in the middle. There's a vent on either end like that. And there's venting under the seats. And then you have climate controls right here on the rear console. So nice little touches. There's a drink holder in each door. This folds down in the middle to give you more drink holders. Built-in shades. Little nice things that they thought of back here, especially in this Overland model, which is really made for mostly day driving around town on pavement, with the option of going off-road, which of course it's a Jeep. So up front here, Jeep did a really good job of, if you're familiar with the Dodge Jeep layouts, then you'll be familiar with where everything, more or less everything, is in here. It's very well done, easy to understand what you're doing. On the backs of the paddle shifters here, you have station control over here, volume over here, so little paddles you go up and down with. Lighting down there, and climate controls and so on over here. 2 little things that bug me. One is that I like that the seat heating and seat cooling is right there in its buttons, and then it remembers it. So the next time you start it up, it's still there. I like that. Steering wheel heat is also right over here. What I don't like is that the climate controls are a mixture of control it down here and do it on the touch screen. Second thing I don't like is there's a second screen over there for the passenger, which is kind of cool. They can put in navigation information, all kinds of stuff while you're driving, so that the driver doesn't have to pull over and do all that, which is pretty cool, except that screen is constantly reflecting light into my face. It's like your 12-year-old sitting over there with their phone, and they're constantly just basically subconsciously angling the damn thing so that it's shining in your eyeballs the entire time. That is what that does, and that's a high annoyance. So if I were to own one of these, most likely I would be covering that screen with something. This is a regular mirror, and then also when you flip it up like it is, it's an electronic with a camera back there. Love that. Macintosh stereo, also really awesome. The inlay, the wood, the other things that are going on in here are really, really good looking. So yeah, adaptive cruise, all of that. There's 5,000 places to plug things in. You got 4 USBs, 2 USB-As, 2 USB-Cs. Same back there, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. There's an HDMI port so that the person in the passenger seat can actually plug something in and watch it on that screen. You got a 12-volt plug up here, and you got height controls for the airbag system, which is pretty cool, and so on and so forth. You have a 4-wheel low button over here, so you can control that aspect of the transfer case, but not anything else. Pretty good storage in here, drink holders, all that good stuff. This is a nicely done interior and very posh, which is kind of the point of a Grand Cherokee. It's a step above, right? Again, my beefs are that screen over there. The people in the back seat just isn't big enough. And also, one other thing that I don't like is about the drive. Let's go stand out front and talk about that and wrap this up. So I promised to talk about drive quality. One of my beefs with this is that when you're starting out, when you're driving it at low speed, so let's say under 20 miles an hour, it feels sluggish. It just feels like it doesn't want to go anywhere. That's a real annoyance. And it doesn't last very long, and it goes away, but I mostly blame that on the electrics. I think that's what's happening is that the electric motor just isn't quite big enough to handle the bulk of this SUV. I think it's a little too heavy for the amount of torque and kilowatts they're putting out for that electric motor. I think if it was a little bit bigger, then it wouldn't have that problem. So it just feels sluggish. It's like when you're driving your car and you left the emergency brake, you pulled the handle and you thought you released it, but you only went like maybe halfway. Feels like that. It's just it's not grinding, it's not making any noise, but it just feels like it's hesitant. That just bugs me. I don't like that. The drive quality itself, as far as just everyday driving it around, it's a little ponderous, but it's a big SUV. You kind of expect that. but it always feels like it could just at any moment say, you know what, to hell with this, we're taking the shortcut, let's bust through that field. That's a Jeep thing, and I'm glad that it's still there. You kind of want that. If you're buying a Jeep, that's what you expect. It is very, very posh inside, very nice. But on the freeway, it is also loud. Some of that is those tires. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. Some of that is wind because of the shape of the vehicle. There's a lot of wind noise in the very, very back. So it's coming forward to you from the back of the cabin. And I don't know why. Like, I can't point to any one thing on the bodywork that causes that. But that's something I would have expected they would have taken care of before they put this out, before it was published, right? So otherwise, though, this is great. I think if you're going to buy a Jeep now, the only way you're going to get good fuel economy is to go with one of the plug-ins. The plug-in hybrid system bumps the price a little bit, but not terrible. So one of these, not the Overland model, but just the base model of the Grand Cherokee 4xe, will start out at somewhere around $55,000, and then you'll just go up from there. So I will show you a Monroney, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'll just put it on the screen. You can pause it or whatever and check it out. Leave it up for a couple seconds. Other than that, I think this is a great step in the right direction, and I think it's pretty well executed. I think there's a couple things that could have been fixed, a couple things that are a little bit annoying to me, but otherwise I really like this vehicle. Off-road, it's okay. It is the Overland model. It is not one of the off-road dedicated models. I think if you got one of the more dedicated off-road models, you know, Trailhawk or whatever, you would be much happier if you're going to be doing off-road. As far as like light off-road, like what we're at here with just, you know, it's basically glorified dirt roads, you know, not quite as well maintained dirt roads is basically what this is. This is great. This will do fine. Those Wranglers are good tires for this kind of thing. But if you're going to try to do any sort of, you know, bumping around, light rock crawling, anything like that, that the Grand Cherokee could do, given its clearances, then this probably isn't the model. You don't want the Overland. You're going to want something else. But the Overland comes with all those nice interior goodies. Massaging seats, I think I forgot to point that out. A few other things. So, great vehicle. I think there's room for improvement, but I think it's a very good option, and it's a very good setup for the 5th generation to finally move to having a plug and improving that fuel economy a little bit. Without the plug, this is 25 miles a gallon on the freeway, give or take. With the plug, you can boost that a lot because your around town driving is going to be for free, right? Electric, so there's no gas being used. So it is free MPGs, as it were. I don't mean it's free like it doesn't cost you anything, but even then, to fill this thing, I did the math on that part too. Electricity here is 11.6 cents per kilowatt hour. To fill this entirely from scratch to full will cost you about $1.28 at that rate. So, yeah. All right, that's what I got. This has been Aaron, 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe. Talk to you again soon. Subscribe.